Yep. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting. Today, Thursday, September 11th, 2025. I'll call to order this meeting. But before we continue to the Pledge of Allegiance, I ask that we bow our heads and have a moment of silence and reflection for the lives lost during and after the attacks on this day, September 11th, 2001, Benghazi, September 11th, 2012, to the late, great patriot Charlie Kirk, and his family, and to all the lives lost during the recent attacks on all of our schools. All right, thank you. If you could please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. Roll call.
Ryan Wormskirchen is absent. Kari Miller.
Here.
Tom Berg.
Here.
James Wolsafka.
Here.
And Scott Palava.
Here.
All right, tonight's approval of the agenda goes down to 10H. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Miller.
Second.
Second by Palava. Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the minutes from the August 14th, 2025 regular meeting and the August 19th, 2025 special meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
All right, motion by Palava.
Second.
Second by Vasek. Any further conversation? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There are no public hearings. So, on to the big ticket item here. Presentation of citizens petitions and comments. Comments limited to 2 minutes. If you come up tonight to talk, please give your first name, last name, and address. And please just be respectful like planning and zoning. So if anybody wants anything to be said that's either on the agenda or off the agenda, now's your time.
Do you want this microphone?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name's Gary Skazacek. I live at 601 Railway Street, Lonsdale. I've lived in this town for 74 years. There ain't too many of you that can say that. Oh, there's a couple I see. But I just want you got some big items on the board here. And I just want to give you a little history of what I've seen over my years living in Lonsdale. I remember when there was an apartment, the first one coming to Lonsdale on 2nd Street. Well, the neighborhood was really against it. Okay, so what did they do? The council put in a whole bunch of regulations. It's gonna be 55 over. Okay, done, wham, bang, they approved it. It got built. 6 months later, the developer came crying back to the council. Oh, we can't make it, we don't have enough 55-year-old people. So they opened it up to everybody. Okay, right, there's an example of you people getting the wrong information on a big project like this. The next project, remember, is, I believe it was 2016, the community center. Oh my God. I got more calls on that. If we don't build that community center, this is going to be a ghost town. We've got nothing for the kids to do. We can't meet our budget without this community center, blah, blah, blah. The architect, and that was, I don't know, Joel, you remember, it was WSB, I believe, the engineers back then. You were involved, I know that.
292,
But anyway, Joyce and I started contacting other communities. And we found out the information that the council received was false. The expenses for maintenance were way out of line. Well, anyway, we put together a little summary. wore out a pair of tennis shoes, and gave it to all the residents in town what's really going on. Guess what? What was the vote against? 400 and some, and there was only 48 that voted for it. And you know what? After all said and done, I don't remember anybody moving out of Lonsdale. And the bottom line is, we didn't need it. And if we would have built that thing 2 years later, this city would have been bankrupt. And I think Joel knows that just as well as I do. So what I'm asking you is, do your research. I see you guys are all pretty darn young. You probably never experienced or did anything like this before in your life. Make sure you research all the information that these architects are giving you. That's all I'm asking. Because they're in it for one reason. They ain't in it to make Lonsdale greater, I'll tell you that. They're in it for their pocketbook, and after they fill their pockets, you ain't gonna see them. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you, Gary.
And thanks for calling me young.
What's that?
I said, thanks for calling me young. I appreciate it.
Good evening, council.
That's when you gotta sort everything out.
Yes.
My name is Haley Novacek. We moved my husband and I moved to Lonsdale about 11 years ago. My house is 308 9th Avenue. You can see my yard in the picture. I came here tonight to find out whether my husband and I will be moving. We lived in Birdsville for a long time before that, and we lived right next to an apartment complex. We moved here to be away from that. We love living here, but we will be putting our house up for sale and moving out of Lonsdale if this is approved. Thank you.
Mayor, good evening. My name is Jeff Gardner. I live at 326 9th Avenue here in Lonsdale. I moved here in 2019, and I actually came from an apartment complex in Eden Prairie. They were advertised as luxury apartment homes. And what made them apartment homes was I had my own water heater, my own washer and dryer, my own central air, financial gas, forced heat. It's a little bit nicer apartment than your standard, you know, everybody shares a common laundry room and everything. And Eden Prairie is no slum. And these apartments that I lived in, the building I lived in was about the same size, I would say, and there's 8 of them. Very well maintained, very professionally maintained. But, you know, Eden Prairie being as prestigious as it is, these apartment homes, supposedly luxury, I couldn't wait to get out of there. The barking dog complaints, for one. The garbage chutes on the 3rd floor, people, instead they'd plug them up and they just pile the garbage up. I actually had somebody try to walk in to my apartment one night. I was sitting there watching TV and I heard my door handle move. And then I heard the bolt impact up against the steel frame twice. And I looked over just enough in time to see the handle returning to the horizontal position. Freaked me out. I called the cops, I let them know about it, and they said, "Did you open your door and go out and peek?" And I said, "No, but don't, because that's what they want you to do. So we'll send somebody over." And my first apartment back in 1988, I lived at Rosedale Estates in Roseville, right across from the Venetian Inn on Rice Street in Little Canada. Wonderful place, I loved it, loved it, loved it. And then he had problems with vacancies, so he opened it up to Section 8. And ever since he did that, somebody tried to steal my snowmobile right out of the back of my truck. I parked outside. I didn't want to pay the extra to park inside. And people knew I had an alarm system on my truck, and I woke up one night, 2:33 in the morning, my alarm was going off. Somebody went under my truck and cut all the wires, thinking they were going to interrupt power to the alarm circuit, which they didn't. And it was just, it was horrible. I couldn't wait to get out of there. So, I guess my point, Eden Prairie being as nice as it is, those apartments being as nice as it is, it's the people. And, you know, things that don't belong to somebody are generally disrespected, trashed. So, I am of the opinion that a 58-unit apartment complex in a city 40 miles from Egan is not warranted. I'd very much like to see single-family homes there, but the 58-unit complex, I just don't feel is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Van Reese. I live at 1027 Ash Street, just down the road from where these apartments are supposed to go in. My biggest, also other concern is the traffic. You got 58 apartments. You're looking at 58 to 100 more cars on A Street alone. We're gonna have to put a turn lane in, four-way stops at 8th and Ash, so people on Ash Street can actually get out. Not including the traffic that's gonna be on 19. The backups on 19 are gonna be horrible. People ain't gonna be able to get out. And all I see is more of our tax money going to waste. Because that's what would have to happen if these apartments go in. Is that we're gonna have four-way stops, which raise our taxes. We have to have an extra turn, we have to widen the street on A Street, just so those people can get into their apartment lot. That's more tax money that we have to pay. I don't think that's right. And I used to manage an apartment complex of 52 apartments. And we didn't have Section 8. But I'll tell you right now, background check does not mean squat. They really don't. Parents could be great. It's what they have underneath them, their kids, that can cause the problems. Parents don't. Parents could be great, but if their kids are paying, then we're looking at more vandalism in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody for the apartment that'd like to speak? All right, does anybody else have anything?
For?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone here is for it.
Okay.
Still hearing arguments against? Yeah, sorry, I got you. You're up.
So everything in life is a cost, benefit, risk analysis. Even coming here, what's the cost? Time away from my family. The benefit is to advocate for the town that I moved into, the town that most people moved into. So to consider the cost for the town, it might be minimal. The benefit, minimal. People are making arguments about where will elderly people live or kids live or stuff like that. I have a lot more to say about that, but the main point is the risk. So I'm an electrician and I've been a technician for years, and we have a saying that says when something breaks, you let the smoke out of it. You can't put the smoke back in. An apartment's up. It's up. You can't put the smoke back in. So that risk remains forever. I feel like, so my brother was a bit of a bully to me growing up, and he would take my stuff. I would say, hey, where did you put my thing? He'd say, I don't have it. I knew he took it, but he's using a little bit of bait and switch to kind of manipulate the words to make me think or feel a certain way. Everything I've heard about, it's not planned for Section 8. There are no plans for Section 8 right now. We plan for this to be this kind of community. We plan for it to be this. Well, that's right now. But consider right now to the risk that won't ever go away. So I have a lot more to say, but I don't want to filibuster.
You want to give us your first name, last name, and address? I didn't want to
Yes.
interrupt you.
Thank you. I'm sorry for messing up the protocol.
Oh, you're
That's
okay.
okay.
Keith Black, 680 Golden Oak Street, Northeast.
Okay. Thank you.
If you have questions, I don't want to take anybody else's time, but I'm sure you could float them out and people would be happy to answer as well. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask each and every one of you, is this open for a Q&A?
I'd rather kind of wait
I don't know
until
why
we
it
get,
wouldn't be.
well, I'd rather kind of wait till we
It's
get
not
to
a matter
this.
of what you'd rather. Is there an exclusion in this tonight?
So,
Because I'd like to ask each and every one of you, what are you for or what are you against? Are you for it?
It's definitely a type of housing that is needed in this town.
Are you for it?
It's zoned for that type of housing, yes.
Are you for it?
I'm actually torn on it right now.
Okay, appreciate the honesty. And how
It is
about
a
you?
need. It's a need.
Tell me why.
We've got young people looking for apartments in town. There's never an opening.
Is that the only option though? To add 58 units?
The number of units
Have
is
you
an
done a
option
study
right
on
now.
how many people are looking for, how many young people are in the market right now? Have you done a market analysis on that?
Yes, we have.
And what is that?
75 units.
75 units are?
75 units.
Okay.
And
Now,
that was
have you
just
studied
completed.
the relativity of that to the population? Because you could take that 75 units, take it to a larger community. What's the ratio of demand versus justifying what's proposed?
Elko just built a 54-unit
We're
apartment
not in Elko.
complex.
This is
We are
Lonsdale.
really close to
Okay, but
Elko.
we're not, this is Lonsdale. For right now, this is
Hey.
still Lonsdale, okay?
Listen.
Are you for it?
Did you state your name and address?
Not yet. Is that
Okay,
a requirement?
let's start.
Is
Yep.
that a requirement?
It is.
Okay, my name's Ryan Flynn, 702 Florida Street Southwest.
Okay. I'm waiting to get to this whole thing so I can hear the facts.
Okay. What facts?
We're going through this today.
Okay,
With
no,
the
I'm
developer
asking
and with city
just
staff, with
where
everyone.
we're at right now. Like, I love Scott's honest answer. He said, I'm torn. Okay? Where are you at?
I'm right there with them.
Okay? How about you?
I'm torn as well. That's why I'm looking forward to hearing the developer speak. I did watch the planning and zoning meeting, but I don't have an ultimate decision at this time because I need to gather more information. And I appreciate all the feedback from people.
Okay, and you two gentlemen? Where you at?
I believe it's a need for this community as well.
Okay? And why?
To the point of what others have said, it's a struggle for all people to afford housing, and this gives them another option. It can bring people to our community.
But is it the only option?
Your question should be directed to the city council,
Okay,
not the,
okay,
not the
I'm-
public works director.
Yep, you're right. I'll take that. So that's where you stand, and how about you, sir?
He's the city engineer.
Yeah, I'm a consultant.
He just started 2 months ago.
Okay, so he has no...
The city council is who your questions should be directed to.
Okay. All right, so with that being said, what is the incentive for the city and what type of funding comes with this deal?
So if you let us get to that item, we can answer a lot of these questions. And if you
Okay.
have more,
I haven't seen
come
the
back
agenda.
up.
I haven't seen the agenda.
It's
so
okay.
yeah.
Just come
I
back
just-
up if you got
just had to ask
questions.
some questions 'cause
We'll
I felt
answer
like
it,
this
yep.
was about to close out, so.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, anybody else? Okay. I'm gonna let one more comment go and
A
then,
couple more, I guess.
it's okay, it's okay. I just, go
My
ahead.
name's Darren Zester. I live at 920 Golden Oak Cove, Northeast. I built a house down here in 2010. I've lived here ever since. My wife used to work for Northfield School District. She just moved to a different job this week. Northfield, as you know, is a larger community than Lonsdale, lots of apartment buildings. When working for the school district, all the schools are based on enrollment, so they're always very for apartment buildings. Fast forward 4 years after multiple new apartment buildings have been built next to the school down there, or one of the elementary schools, excuse me, the data came back that each apartment unit had 0.2 children on average. So you're not gaining kids for enrollment. If you're trying to attract young people to this community, I understand that, but what's here to keep them here? If they're gonna come here to live, they wanna live and work here. There's no place to hang out, there's nothing for them to do, right? Build a need, they'll come. If you build this, they will come. The theys that are coming are not the people you want living here. You're building multiple houses off Hawaii Avenue, or down on Hawaii Street in the next few years, those are going to be filled. How many houses are for sale right now in Lonsdale? Maybe 5, maybe 6. When it's on the market, it's off the market in less than 2 months. People come here to raise a family. If the zoning committee meeting last week was against this, then why do we have a zoning committee meeting? Thank you.
Thanks.
Name is John Worth, Harvest Court Southwest, 519 Harvest Court Southwest. I'd like to thank you, Tom, for the phone call, giving me more information on questions I had and concerns that I had, and look forward to going forward, speaking with all of you in the future about things with the city. But as far as this apartment project goes, I believe you need to take a step back and consider the safety of our community and our children before anything else. I'm not here to talk data or stats. You've already heard that. Those are available to you if you want, if you care to consider it. If you move forward with this project, our town will suffer from it. Expounding on what I said at the last meeting, I work all over the cities and suburbs and just see all the completely evil, absurd things that are happening right out my windshield around people's homes where developments just like this are. Theft, anything else you can think of. None of these criminals are held accountable for their actions in the state. We know that. They're turned out and put out in work order. This is just one recent example. Last week, Friday in Northfield, we heard that law enforcement was called out to Greenville Place Apartments responding to an armed man inside, making threats towards others. I know that's a different apartment, different situation, but it's an apartment nonetheless. I firmly believe if you vote to rezone and move forward with this development, you're voting to put my children and my neighbor's children in danger. I don't believe this is your intent. I believe that may be an unintended consequence. We moved here for the peace that this town offers to families. Whenever anybody asks me about what we like about our little town, I always tell them there's low to no crime, there's no bus stop, and I can go down to the hardware store and buy a gun if I want to. We have a nice little slice of America left here, and it's worth protecting and fighting for. This project opens a door that can't be closed. It'll be a revolving door, and we'll get spikes in crime. Our children's safety must be your #1 priority as leaders of this community. I urge you all to rethink this and come together and look for better solutions. Let's work together from here. I challenge everybody sitting behind me to get more involved as well in working with you guys. And as far as this project goes, after attending the last meeting, it's going to take a lot more than a coffee social and a putting green out front to convince me this is a good idea. And I believe, it's my opinion, I'd be neglecting my duty as a father if I didn't stand up and speak against this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have anything to say other than that?
I would like to talk, I mean, I live right across the street.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to get an idea because I want to keep going.
We got all night.
Shannon Price, I live at 309 9th Avenue Northeast. I'm just across the street from that row of rental houses that would be there. I have worked, I'm not an officer, but I've worked in law enforcement for 20 years, and I've seen crime spikes. This is in a more urban location, closer up in the cities. But a lot of these apartment complexes come in beautiful and new and shiny and pretty and luxury or whatever they want to call them. But if they can't get filled, they oftentimes have to fall back and fill them with people that maybe wouldn't have been able to afford that and go on to the Section 8 vouchers. And we've seen what happens, unfortunately, with people that are in Section 8. It might be, they may be backgrounded and be okay to live there, but like somebody else mentioned, their kids, maybe a boyfriend who likes to do drugs or sell drugs, or predatory offenders live with people in places like that. Like, we've seen it all. It can happen here too. I'm worried about that, and I don't really want that to be across the street from me. There's been a lot of people speaking tonight, and I really appreciate everybody standing up and we're all here to just tell you how we feel about it. That's the whole point of this, right? And I hope that those of you that are representing us will vote in how your people believe. So thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Laura Wagner. I live at 821 Ash Street Northeast, so I'd be looking at this building for the rest of the time that I plan on living here. When I first moved in 17 years ago, I planned on living here until I maybe had to go to I call it the old folks home. But with this apartment building, I really reconsider and maybe go live in the country, because I really love the small town living. Before I moved here, I lived in an apartment building in Burnsville, Nicollet, Section 8 housing in Belle Plaine, and rented a few different basements. My favorite were the basements, because that's where I felt the most secure. Every apartment that I was in my 20s, and walking around seeing all different people scared me all the time. I was scared in the dark. I did wake up one day saying, dude, where's my car? It was gone. Someone stole it. I walk the sidewalk every single day for the last 17 years. And I have had plenty of time to think, what would be the best thing in that lot? I've thought of like a massive flower garden. That'd be gorgeous. A splash pad for the kids, a community center, a bar and grill, but never an apartment building. And I think, honestly, the best thing that Lonsdale would benefit from is family homes with ADUs, so that they could have their family members live in those, not an apartment complex. You will have one manager running that, and they might be good the next time, they might not, and that building will be awful. And the tenants will have a hard time getting a hold of that person if they need help. So I guess in closing, I would just like to ask that you carefully evaluate whether the project truly meets the needs of our town. Let's preserve what makes our community special and continue to prioritize thoughtful, measured growth that benefits everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Stripsky. I live at 230 Hawaii Street. And I just want to say that my wife and I moved here in 2021. We lived for over 40 years in Eagan, Minnesota. And we saw what happened to Eagan, Minnesota. During my time of living in Eagan, Minnesota, I also worked at a supermarket on Highway 13 in Cliff Road. There was an apartment building there that was not Section 8, but became Section 8. It was called Milk Pond. And I sure hope McAthoon's has a wonderful theft prevention system, because I saw it firsthand. I saw what it does to the kids, that people that come in and live in these apartments, and what it does to the kids. My wife worked for 18 years in the Burnsville School District in special needs. And these kids came in, and the poor little Burnsville kids were like deer in headlights. I haven't heard anybody here speak in favor of this, yet you people are still thinking about voting for this. I don't understand. You represent us. Please follow our wishes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is David Pence, 614 9th Avenue Northeast. Grew up in Vesely my whole life. Left Minnesota for about 6 years pursuing a career. All I could think about was coming home. Been a homeowner here in Lonsdale for 14 years. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else besides Lonsdale. And the idea of home ownership was a struggle for me. And now that this complex could be built close to me, I'm worried about the equity and my future finances if this goes through. So, and when people ask me, because I commute, like a lot of people here, they commute to work. Why do you live in Lonsdale? It's worth the drive. It is worth the drive to live in a safe, quiet community. Okay? I will drive an hour to know that my kids are safe, my finances are safe, and I buy a house that, hey, forgot to lock the doors. No big deal. I live in Lonsdale. What the hell's gonna happen? Nothing. That safety is valuable. It is valuable. And if you don't honor that safety, you don't honor the people's finances, their equities that they've built, I don't want to live here. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, last call.
Will we have a chance to speak after? Because you guys have some things information to give us. Can we respond to that information?
I'll allow it. You guys have been really respectful, so it absolutely will. So, but if you guys don't mind, I'd like to keep going through this new business because we do have some people here that need to get going. But so thank you to all of you for being respectful and getting your views across. I appreciate it. So moving on, there's nothing on the consent agenda. There's no old business, so on to new business. Consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Blake Skulzacek as a firefighter, Joe Pumper, Fire Chief.
Hello, council members, mayor. Lonsdale Fire Department continues to prioritize building a skilled, dedicated, and community-focused roster of volunteer firefighters. As part of our ongoing hiring campaign, we're pleased to recommend the appointment of Blake Skulzacek as one of our newest firefighters. His overview, Blake Skulzacek is a longtime resident of Lonsdale community. He brings with him a strong work ethic and a hands-on experience from his background in construction industry. Blake is also a second-generation volunteer firefighter in the Lonsdale community, and a family legacy of service and commitment to public safety. Our recommendation is based on his qualification, local roots, and his clear dedication to community service. The Lonsdale Fire Department recommends that Blake Skulzacek be officially appointed as a volunteer firefighter for the city of Lonsdale. Our requested action would be to make a motion to approve the hiring of Blake Skulzacek as a firefighter for Lonsdale Fire Department.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Carter, you got anything you want to add?
I just think it's awesome that he's second-generation firefighter, so thanks, Blake, for applying.
Jamie?
I'd just like to thank him for applying and recognize the second generation and welcome to the fire department.
Scott?
You know, I don't think people realize the amount of sacrifice that goes into becoming a volunteer volunteer firefighter. There's a tremendous amount of training and everything, and it's a calling. So it really is an important aspect of our community. So I really appreciate that willingness to do it.
Yeah, I echo all of that. So I'll entertain a motion for Blake Skulzacek.
Motion.
All right, motion by Miller, second by Palava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Joe, consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Dylan Kaisershot as firefighter.
Again, the Lonsdale Fire Department continues to strengthen its roster of qualified and community-focused individuals. As part of this effort, we recommend the hiring of Dylan Kaisershot as a volunteer firefighter. Dylan Kaisershot is a longtime resident of the Lonsdale community and both lives and works locally. His strong community ties and commitment to serving others make him an excellent candidate to join the department and contribute to our mission of providing professional fire and emergency services. Our recommendation is the Lonsdale Fire Department recommends that Dylan Kaisershot be appointed as a firefighter for the city of Lonsdale. His residency, employment in town, and dedication to the community align well with the department's values and needs. Our requested action would be to make a motion to approve hiring of Dylan Kaisershot as a firefighter for Lonsdale Fire Department.
All right, thank you, Joe. Jimmy, you got anything?
Just welcome to the fire department.
Scott?
It's nice to see that he is available during the day, because that has been a struggle for a number of years, having sufficient staffing. So that's great to have.
Carrie?
I just want to say thank you to Dylan for applying and being willing to serve our community.
How many does that put you at for a day shift?
We're pushing 10 currently.
10? Okay.
With
Yeah, that's,
rotating schedules and things like that, but it's right in there.
Yeah.
At our strongest point, I would say we had 10.
and then what was it like a year ago for day shift?
4 to 6.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that Dylan's able to fill in for that, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Palava, second by Vasipka. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, welcome Dylan. Consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Logan Thompson McMoan.
The Lonzo Fire Department continues again actively recruit qualified and community-minded individuals to serve as volunteer firefighters. As part of the ongoing effort, the department recommends the hiring of Logan Thompson McMoan. The candidate overview, Logan Thompson McMoan has been a resident of Lonzo for the past 5 years, has established himself as a dedicated member of the community. He brings a construction background, providing valuable hands-on skills that directly support the needs of the fire service. In addition, Logan is an active individual who enjoys athletics, particularly softball, demonstrating teamwork and physical readiness qualities that align well with the demands of the department. Our recommendation is the Lonzo Fire Department recommends the appointment of Logan Thompson McMoan as a firefighter for the city of Lonsdale. His construction experience, community ties, and physical capabilities will be an asset to the department. We seek a motion to approve the hiring of Logan as a firefighter for the Lonsdale Fire Department.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Scott?
So if approved, where that puts us at full numbers?
26,
26.
full roster would be 30,
Okay.
plus 25, and our long-term goal was to maintain plus 25.
Okay. Do we have any additional anticipated retirements or departures?
Not within the next couple of years.
Okay. That's all.
Corey?
Again, thank you to Logan for applying and being willing to serve the community. And with the softball, would he want to make a fire versus police softball game?
We can only see what after probation and the physicals come back. Anything's possible.
Exactly. Thank you.
Jamie?
Just welcome to the fire department. Thanks for applying.
Are any of them here tonight?
Not that I haven't seen.
Well, I wish them all the best of luck, and the prayers are with them for continued safety. So thank you, Joe, for all that you do too, and congrats for getting up to that number. So thank you, Joe. I'll entertain a motion for that. Motion by Vaseka.
Second.
Second by Bilal. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Consider approval of Resolution 2025-39, a resolution delegating administration of the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act to a qualified consulting firm. Joel Erickson, City Administrator.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. With the city switching engineering firms earlier this year, we need to delegate administration of the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act to Bolton and Mink. Previously, it was administered by our former engineering firm, WSB. Typically, there's only a few items each year, and they usually pertain to residents' questions on where they can place fill, annual reporting, things like that. With several development projects anticipated for 26, we'll have to address wetland delineations, conduct TEP panel meetings, and consider no-loss applications, and they will need to be processed in a timely manner. If not administered by the city, WACA would be administered by the County Soil and Water District. The fiscal impact to the city is zero based off of our fee schedule. The applicants are required to provide an escrow and be responsible for all associated fees. Any funds not spent are returned to the applicant. As I stated earlier, the alternative would be to not be responsible for administration of WACA and allow Bryce County Soil and Water to be responsible for it. Unless there's any questions, staff would recommend approval of Resolution 2025-39.
All right, thank you, Joel. Carrie, you got anything?
No.
Jamie?
No.
Scott?
Just basic housekeeping.
Yep. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
All right, motion by Miller.
Second.
Second by Palava. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Consider approval of resolution 2025-40, a resolution supporting submission of the city's 2026 capital budget request. Joel Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's expected that 2026 will be a bonding year at the state legislature. Staff was made aware of the application process and timeline to submit a funding request. Along with Bolton and Mink, we have completed the application. The only item remaining is to obtain a resolution of support for the City Council's funding request. The city is requesting funding in the amount of $4,850,000, which is the engineer's estimate for the cost of the project. The proposed project would be a new water tower and water main loop. The importance of these are to address system redundancy, to make sure that the southeast section of town, including the Lonsdale Business Park, is not shut off and without water. Increase fire protection, pressure stabilization, and then also to meet demand peaks. Deadline to submit the application is October 17th, and it's anticipated that staff will submit the request next week. By approving the proposed resolution, the council is approving the funding request and requesting staff to submit it by the due date. I guess just a little background real quick. I believe it was end of 23, the city had a water supply comprehensive study done. And based off of our current system and anticipated growth, a water tower was recommended, I believe, in 2028. So this lines up consistent with requesting the funding for 26, receive it in 27, do all the design and construction after that. I believe the funding request in there states that we will complete the project by 2030. Unless there's any questions, staff recommend approval of resolution 2025-40.
All right, thank you, Joel. Jamie, you got anything?
It's definitely a need, especially putting in that redundancy loop, because we've been close to losing water for an entire section of town already, and nobody wants to be without water. So I'm all for it.
All right, Scott?
You know, add on to what Jamie had said about that, people don't realize that if you do lose water, it's more than just the inconvenience of nothing coming out of the faucet. There's a lot of issues that take place when you do turn the water back on, so that loop is extremely important. The water tower has been on the long-term plan, so we really need to move forward with that, and they're not going to get any cheaper, so we're better off to act on it now.
All right, thank you. Carrie?
I know it's a need, especially in the southeast neighborhood, to protect those homes and businesses from not having any water if something happens. We've already had some water main breaks. Joe has talked about this at a lot of previous meetings. And it's time to submit the request for the bond, so I am for it.
All right. So, Joel, have we ever applied for a bonding bill before, like recently?
No, we have
10
not.
years? Never? Okay. And then if we don't get this voted on in 2026, does it put a priority marker on it for the next round for bonding?
I think it comes down to the priorities of the legislature and the other requests that are submitted.
Okay.
It's definitely competitive.
All right.
Other funding options would be through PFA, low interest loans.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion by Palava.
Second.
Second by Vasavka. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Consider approval of resolution 2025-41, a resolution amending the city's comprehensive plan to rezone the property located at 900 Ash Street Northeast from B3 Central Business District to a planned unit development to allow for an apartment facility and single-family home lots. Corey Hanzabera, Community Development Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The public hearing for the comprehensive plan amendment to rezone the property at 900 Ash Street Northeast, B3 Central Business to Plan Unit Development, PUD, to allow for an apartment facility and single-family residential lots was held at the September 4th, 2025 Planning Commission special meeting. Numerous public comments were received during the public hearing, and all opposed the proposed comprehensive plan amendment. The majority of the comments were concerned with increased police calls, and then increased citywide crimes, and then the desire to keep Lonsdale a small-town atmosphere. Based upon the 2040 comprehensive plan and recently completed market study, the proposed comprehensive plan amendment to rezone the property located at 900 Ash Street Northeast from B3 Central Business to Plan Unit Development, PUD, to allow for the apartment facility and single-family residential lots requested by BJB Holdings, LLC, is aligned with the following. The 2040 comprehensive plan reasons. Chapter 5, housing, page 14, rental housing development, develop 26 to 30 general occupancy market rate rental units with 2 and 3 bedroom mix ranging in size from 1,000 to 1,250 square feet at rent of $800 to $975 per month, excluding electricity and garage. Chapter 11, land use, page 10, additional 330 acres are included in the future land use boundaries for medium to high density residential development. As of 2016, the city had 26 acres of medium to high density acreage. Proposed acreage is located on the east side of the city, adjacent to the proposed highway, commercial, and industrial land use. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the recently completed 2025 market study showed the need for 55 units with rents ranging from $1,025 studio to $1,450 for a 2-bedroom unit. Recommendation, staff is recommending the City Council to approve Resolution 2025-41, the Comprehensive Plan Amendment to rezone the property located at 900 Ash Street Northeast from B3 Central Business to a Planned Unit Development, PUD, to allow for apartment facility and single-family residential lots. Fiscal impact at this time for just the rezone resolution is just staff time and publication expenses. Alternatives, do not approve Resolution 2025-41, Comprehensive Plan Amendment to rezone the property located at 900 Ash Street Northeast from B3 Central Business to a Planned Unit Development, PUD, to allow for an apartment facility and single-family residential lots. In your packet tonight, in your attachments, you have Resolution 2025-41 for approval or denial. The Comprehensive Plan Amendment requested form by Brian Brueggemann from BJB Holdings. The 2040, as I just read, the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 5, Housing, page 14. Then page 10, the full market study. And then, Mr. Mayor, you received on September 5th, 2025, a letter of support from MnDOT Commercial Construction. Also, numerous other letters have come in, and everybody has a copy here at the a copy with them. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Corey. Brian, do you want to kick this off too?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Appreciate your time. My name is Brian Brueggemann. I'm the applicant proposing the apartment building here in Lonsdale. Happy to answer any questions you have, but first I'd like to maybe address some of the comments that came up in the Planning Commission meeting. I took notes of them, and then also tonight. There's a couple resounding themes, one being crime, Section 8, and then traffic's come up as well. Number of people in the public hearing brought up that they believe that apartments inherently invite crime to the community. I feel this is largely an anecdotal statement, and there's really no evidence to support these statements. There's been studies done, one was done by studies done that do show that when police data is analyzed on a per unit basis, the rate of police activity in apartment communities is no worse than any single family subdivision. And in many cases is worse. I would like to say that we have professional management on our buildings. Those management do conduct credit checks, criminal background history, rental history screening, and we do have income requirements that our applicants are required to meet. So we vet out our tenants, likely more than a neighbor would vet out somebody buying the house next door for them for sale. So we've got control of who comes in and out of our properties, and we want to manage them. You know, this is an asset for us. This is something that is important to us. We've got banks involved. We've got to pay the lender, so we've got to keep these things up and running and cash flowing, and we do that with good tenants and good tenancy. I don't know where the notion of Section 8 came up. It wasn't from me. I think it was maybe stirred up online, but this has never been intended to be, or I've never said that this was going to be a Section 8 project. Section 8 is a voucher program. I'm sure there's Section 8 vouchers in your community already, renting houses or other rental facilities. It can be done anywhere. Our market prices are going to price out Section 8 vouchers inherently, so we have no intention of bringing in Section 8 housing. There was an apartment brought up in Elko that's full, and it tells me that there's demand in this community for a straight market rate, which is what our project would be intended to be. Most of our residents in Annandale, for example, which this picture is of, over 50% of them are females. We've got a council member that's renting a house. He's looking to build a new house, so he sold his, is renting an apartment for a year while his is being built. For him and his 2 kids, and then he'll be moving back into his new house. And then we've got one other family with 1 child, but the demographic makeup is going to be very much the demographic makeup of your existing community. I'm sure some of your existing community members will end up moving into the apartment. Perhaps that frees up opportunities for someone else to buy their home. But it's not a Section 8 project. There's it's not meant to be something you see in Harlem or the projects. This is going to be a nice, we call it a luxury apartment with great amenities, and we want to have reputable, upstanding citizens in our project. The other one is traffic. I just want to note that the site is currently zoned for commercial, which would bring a lot more traffic than an apartment project would bring. You could have retail uses in a commercial zone project, which is going to have substantially more traffic, and they're going to have traffic 24/7 in commercial projects likely, where we really have the same peak hours as any other single-family housing. And some people don't even have cars and live in apartments. They just kind of walk through the community, and they'll walk to McAthoon's or ride their bike. And so those are some of the issues that I heard that I just want to address directly. I'm happy to address any other questions that you might have.
I appreciate it, Brian. Joel, is there any feedback that you would like to discuss from the planning and zoning meeting? I guess the big question is what was their reasoning to turn it down? What was their recommendation?
Based off of, I would say they recommended denial of it based off of comments from the public.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to pass this around council first. We're going to ask a bunch of questions, and if there's more, I'll open it up for the public, okay? So Scott, I ended with Jamie last time, so I'm going to kick this off with you.
Well, I guess the first thing I'd like to do, if I may, could you explain what the Section 8 process really is? I think people think that it's just a facility is just available and people with vouchers can move in.
So the Section 8 is a program run by the Rice County HRA. So you need to apply through the HRA to get essentially a voucher that allows you to bring forward to a landlord. That voucher is basically a portion of their rent would be subsidized by the county HRA. I think the misconception is there is low-income tax credit developments, which are housing projects that might look like this, but they are funded as a low-income tax credit project that have deed restriction on them that requires them to accept these type of vouchers or have income requirements, low income requirements for their tenants. This is not one of those projects. It's a completely different process where you've got to go and apply to the low income tax credit bureau or authorities. And they look at them all across the state and grant them to a handful of developers. A lot of them are nonprofit developers that do that. But we have not gotten or do not intend to seek any of the low-income tax credit projects. That's not what this project does.
Okay. All right, I just wanted that kind of explained a little bit, because I think that's a common misconception that it's
Right.
it's
Well,
just an
like I
open
said,
door for low income.
There's likely Section 8 vouchers in your community already renting.
In individual residential homes, townhomes, duplexes, all that, yeah, yeah. Okay, and we do currently have that in some of our existing apartments, I believe?
Yes, we do.
Yep. That's all I have at the moment right now.
Okay. Corey?
So some of the feedback I've gotten from people was that it seems like it's a lot of stuff in kind of a small area. So squeezing like 9 homes together and then having kind of a large 3-story apartment building. They feel like it's crammed in there and it's not gonna look good. It's just gonna be an eyesore with a big building. So I just kind of wanted to know, are there other options to develop maybe twin homes, quad homes, anything like that, that would be affordable as well instead of an apartment complex?
So I don't develop that type of product. We put the homes on the north end, those 9 lots, really to create a buffer on Birch Street between the residential lots there and where the apartment project fits. My intent is to build an apartment project. I don't know and haven't run the feasibility of developing townhouses or twin homes across the entire site. That's just, the site's been available for sale. I think if a private developer wanted to do that, and I think the current developer actually is in that, the current owner's in that business and hasn't done it. So, that's just not the business I'm in.
And just because you mentioned it, I just want to clarify with everybody, the city does not own this land. It is owned by somebody else. It's owned by a private party. So he's looking to buy it from that private party to develop this land. I also have concerns about the traffic flow. What are your plans to mitigate the traffic? If every unit has a car or 2, that could be over 100 cars. What is kind of the plan for mitigation?
We don't have a plan per se. We could do a traffic study if you'd like. I don't know that it'd be warranted given that the site's zoned commercial and we're exiting out on a major trunk road. It's not a situation like you'd see in a sitcom where 100 cars are going to flood the street at the same time. They're going to come in and out through the course of the day, much like you would come in and out of your house through the course of the day. The Birch Street probably has just as much traffic coming in and out of it than our driveway will have. So it's really, I think, a misconception that the traffic's going to be this insurmountable obstacle, and really the roadway system that you have is already set up to handle that traffic.
And Scott covered the Section 8 questions that I had, so I think that's all I have for right now.
Okay. Jamie?
Corey, do you have the B3 businesses in front of you?
Yes, I do.
So everybody knows what can go there?
Currently.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify people. I have it pulled up, so.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor and Councilmember Vosejka, as we stated earlier, this location is Zone B3 Central Business. So, going through a conditional use permit, commercial and multi-family or multiple or apartment facility is permitted in that zoning district. So, this has been part of the 2040 comprehensive plan since the development of that. It's been in our city code. So that's my clarification with you, Mr. or Councilmember Vosejka.
And what could go there if we don't put an apartment complex?
All of that. Oh, yeah. Club and lodges, dance, health and martial arts studios, daycare facilities, financial institutions with drive-in facilities, multi-tenant buildings, provided that they are specified as permitted uses, museum and art galleries, office and professional services, off sales, on sales, personal services, pharmacy, public buildings, public parking lots, private parking lots, public parks and playgrounds, restaurants, fast food excluding drive-through facilities, restaurant standard excluding drive-through facilities, retail shops, service and repairs.
And micro businesses. There's a lot that can go in there, and all those will bring traffic in there. And I personally work in retail, and we see at least 50 to 60 cars a day, and they're all at the peak times. They come in for lunch, they come in for bus drop-off, they come in when you're all getting off of work. So that's when the peaks are. There is going to be traffic from the other stuff. We get it, there's problems that could arise from this, but there's also good stuff that could arise from this. And it's not only going to be young kids, it could be old people, it could be young families starting out, it could be families that sold their house and they're ready to build a new house. There's a lot of things. It's a nice building. And as far as 58 units, it's not done yet. We can negotiate down, he can negotiate up. We're still in the negotiating phase. That's why nobody wanted to give out numbers to begin with. And there's a lot of fees associated with this. That's why, how much would it cost to just draw up the blueprints for an apartment complex, so they know?
For me to be able to have blueprints ready to build after engineering and architecture, I'm gonna be at $250,000. So that's my at-risk money before I know if I've got a project that's moving dirt.
Crime rate, we reached out to Elko. I reached out to all the surrounding communities. I know current and former law enforcement. They said, in town, we have no problems with crime at all. I reached out to Faribault SWAT. Yes, they have some problems in one of their Section 8 housing apartments, but how many apartments does Faribault have that they have no problems with? We are listening to you, and we are being heard.
Did you reach out to the citizens of Faribault or the citizens of these towns? That's the biggest question.
New Market, yes.
Faribault? But I think if you haven't, that's something you should consider. It might change a lot of your opinions.
Home prices?
Home prices, you have the villages right there. That is an apartment complex / memory care facility / assisted living facility. It is roughly the same size as this apartment complex is gonna be.
So regardless, let's all just establish one thing, it's simple. Whatever happens there, it's gonna bring traffic. That's something that can be dealt with, right?
Yes.
If you listen to the community and the people that are here, and the people that were at the last meeting, I wasn't myself. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission, based on what the people wanted, the people of the community, the people that vote you individuals up there to represent us in the community, I think it was kind of said at that meeting. But now here we're talking about traffic and flow. That's not the issue. It's the issue and the effects on the community and the changes that people are concerned about. The very reason that people moved here. This individual here, you know. Vastly small town. You know, things will change. Eagan, Minnesota, you know.
To me, traffic
My yard is literally at the top. There will be 4 driveways in just the side of my house in my yard. 4.
That 9 units is negotiable. That was from
I mean,
the previous developer.
Where's our buffer on Ash Street?
Hey.
There's no buffer on Ash Street.
He'll do the parking, well, the car park there.
Good.
I think the writing's on the wall, gentlemen, and yeah. We voted you people in for a reason, to carry on our voices in the community. What you promised back then at election, I don't even believe that we're discussing this right now.
The people have spoken.
Well, in all
Why are we discussing it?
in all fairness, yes, you are here, but there's also been conversations with other people that are reluctant to come to this event or come to this venue because
Where are they?
they're not here because of the lack of I don't want to say civility. I'm not trying to say that, but I had just today alone, I had 6 people that told me point blank that. One, for example, they moved here, they sold their home out of state because they had a job transfer. They got transferred here. Their husband took the job. They rented a home in town, went through a divorce. Now she had to rent another house. Now that house is potentially up for sale. If that house sells, she's homeless now. So based on the available of rentals, the availability of affordable purchase, she's moving out of the community.
Now, that's one scenario.
No, I understand. Okay. I believe me, I'm not arguing one way or the other, I'm just sharing examples. I know Jamie, for example, pointed out that his kid, a 24-year-old, had to move to Minneapolis. So both Mike
Had to, there's no.
I mean, you listen to the news and it's one story after another. This happened, this crime happened at an apartment, this happened at this apartment, this happened at that apartment. I mean, the writing's on the wall. I mean, this guy here, he's a professional salesman. He's got everything to gain. Why wouldn't he give you the story of his life?
And that's a serious question,
you know.
So you said there's one key word that really stuck out in everything you said to me. The intention, intended. So you're with who again?
I'm a developer.
Okay. Now, have you ever seen scenarios like this where maybe you also said one other key factor? It's all about keeping cash flow, keeping it moving. What happens when that cash flow doesn't happen? Then do you open up to other options?
That would require us to lower our rents in order to accept Section 8 housing, so we would become back.
You can't deny vouchers.
Can.
You can legally deny vouchers. If somebody shows up and says, I have a voucher, I have this much income.
Except for the city of Minneapolis, you can.
Yeah, they got ordinances over there that affect their market rate apartments, but
Scott, why do you tell us that you don't have blueprints ready for a property like this that you're gonna make an offer of millions of dollars on? You're telling me you don't have blueprints ready, you don't know what you're gonna build there?
Well, because that's.
You have the blueprints already in the picture here, and all these pictures I noticed, they're all a building in the middle of the woods. It looks nice in the middle of the woods, if you click back over to the other photo, I think it looks pretty nice. But it's in the woods all alone, not in the middle of our town.
So this is in the middle of town. There's residential houses to the north. There's a 55-plus community to the
I like the
west.
other photo. Go back to the other one, this one makes me sick.
What they gave us.
all right, so,
One of them. There's one in the woods.
I think to answer your question is those are concepts. Because of the sheer cost of drawing up plans on something that he doesn't even know if he's gonna go through. This is what the proposed idea is. It still probably costs you thousands of dollars just to have this done.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he's certain he's gonna be able to build something there.
No.
He's not gonna make an offer on something he can't use.
Yes. So, of course we do. So I've got, pro forma, and I understand how many units I can roughly fit on the project, which tells me how much everything will land. I know how much my plans will cost once approved, but there's steps that you take in order to minimize my risk. I don't wanna have $250,000 out the door and then council votes me no, and I've got $250,000 worth of paper that can't do anything. So we take steps. The project that I have proposed is basically the inverse of this property, flip left to right. So I know what it costs. I've got my numbers, but you don't put those numbers out, put that cash out the door, and lump sum, you feather it out there as you get further along from the process.
But you said $250,000 in blueprints.
Yes.
But isn't this the concept of a building you said you've built hundreds of times or several times? I don't know, hundreds, I don't know your background, but is it not a cookie cutter print of a different building that you've built or no?
That's not how it works, no. There's different city codes, there's different engineering involved with every site. Plumbing is coming in from a different direction, we've got different grades, so it's all different.
Can you please state your name, first name, last name, and
Yes,
address?
Wesley Musell. Lonsdale resident.
And your address?
Main Street.
More specific, you gotta use your
Main
number.
Street North.
What is the reason you wanna build this in Lonsdale?
To be frank, a community member actually who knew I was in apartment development reached out to me and said that the community needed,
That's the only reason.
well, I'm a real estate developer, so that's my job.
That's your job, okay.
I'm not, I come from a small town. I come from Annandale, it's 3,500 people. I was born and raised there, I live there with my wife and 3 kids. So I'm not some city slicker. I commute an hour to work as well. This is what I do.
bet they could use that.
What?
I bet Annandale could use that.
They can, they did. That's in Annandale.
Do you live next to them?
No?
I'll come.
Hey, you guys, let's hold decorum here, okay? Let's be respectful. You guys did a great job, and then now it's getting unruly, so please, just
We're being
take it down.
respectful, but you gotta understand, he's coming in talking about his $250,000 dress. I'm sorry, that means nothing to me.
And I get that, I understand that.
Impacts on the community and individuals that live here and have lived here for years, and the people that are new here, and the people that came here for a certain reason. So that 250 means nothing.
And I get that, I understand that, and I said, let's let this go around council and ask a bunch of questions, and then I'll open it up, okay? So, just, hold on. All right, so, is that all you had, Jamie?
That's all I have.
Okay, I got a ton of questions. Joel, if we pass this PUD as presented, this doesn't automatically approve the apartment, correct?
That's correct.
It is strictly to move to the next process of negotiating for the PUD with more community input, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so that would come with the traffic studies, that would come with even more information, even when it comes to crime, I'm assuming. And then also taking that concept plan and actually dialing it into more of a preliminary plan, correct?
Yeah, we'd go to the council if you wanted to require a traffic study be completed.
And again, I want to echo this land is not owned by the city, right?
Correct.
Is the city constructing this building?
No.
Okay, I'm asking some obvious questions, but I just want these on the record. But what are the associated costs with this project that the city would have to put in?
Development's always paid for itself, so it would be a PUD and would be negotiated out between the city and the developer. We would obtain trunk water and sewer fees per our fee schedule, negotiate park dedication, things like that.
Okay, and then Main Street's B3 business, right?
Yes.
And what's above these buildings on B3?
There are some apartments above.
Right, so anybody could come in and put a business with an apartment on top?
Yes.
How many units are they?
Quite a bit. But has there been interest of the provided businesses in the length of this time that it's been zoned for B3? For B3, just, has there been any interest from business to be located in this?
On this
property?
parcel?
Right.
No.
Okay. And what was the intention of it to be zoned B3?
Was the expansion of the Rolling Ridge Marketplace.
Okay. So even if we went into a PUD, the conversations for housing, townhouses, all that, you couldn't do that in B3.
Correct.
And the city can't dictate essentially who comes in and buys that land and puts stuff in, right? They can have some type of influence. So this would be kind of leaning more towards your property right. You got somebody that's interested in buying that location and doing something with it, and then they're asking the city for the blessing to do the rezoning into a PUD, right?
Yes, there's currently a willing seller and a willing buyer, and it's my understanding the property is under contract.
And this is a market rate apartment, not a project-based apartment, and did we identify clearly that project-based is your Section 8 low income?
All conversations have been that it's market rate.
Okay. Did Landmark on First Avenue Southeast, did that start off as project-based?
I wasn't here at that time, but I do believe that it's a USDA, all the apartment complexes on First Avenue Southeast are financed by low-income housing credits.
Gary, Joyce, does that sound right? Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. Is this a qualifying complex for Section 8?
Short of what was just said about rents, they can only be so high. And based off of the market study, it appears that the lease or the rents would be higher than what would qualify for Section 8.
Okay.
And Bryce County currently right now has a 250 person waiting list for Section 8. So there are not even any vouchers available. So it would have to be someone that is currently on Section 8 or transferring from another county.
And what do they normally look for when they sign off on those Section 8 vouchers, the county? What do they look at?
Some of the requirements would be elderly, disabled, working.
Okay. And then how many houses are being built to be rentals at this moment between GRL and Loomis?
I don't know, but essentially 95% of the units built around the water tower in the Welco subdivision are rental. And I believe it's almost 20% of the twin homes on Ash are rental.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually found a statistic that said we have approximately 13% overall in Lonsdale as rental.
Okay.
Only 87% is owner occupied.
Scott, do you know how many units are in Lonsdale?
About 1,650. About 1,650.
So, going back a little bit, before Triumphant Life got that 5 acres of land just west of McIntoons, what was that originally proposed for?
Originally it was all geared for commercial development. The pad that McIntoons on is 200 feet deep, the length of the development east and west. And then the pad that the liquor store's on, that's 100 feet wide, and it's the length of the development.
So back when we were looking at drawings of taking that main road through that residential to kind of open it up a little bit more for people to get in and out of that whole Rolling Ridge marketplace, there were drawings and concept plans of apartments on there. There was 2 apartments on there. Was that the original intent for a PUD in that location?
It was designed for commercial development. That developer passed away. It was purchased by another party, and they presented a plan for apartments in that northwest corner, basically the vacant land west of McIntoons.
Okay. And then the estimated value on the villages is about 6.8 today. And then this apartment, what is the estimated value for that?
I don't, I guess I'd have to ask Brian, but.
Brian?
It'd be about a $13 million project.
Okay.
Does that include the individual homes or?
No, that's just the
That's just the building alone, okay.
Okay. And then, I don't know, can we just throw a rough number out for what that would be for property taxes?
I believe the villages pays about $80,000 to the city.
So double that?
Yeah, if it was valued twice as much, yeah.
Okay. And then what would this do for the property values of the houses surrounded by it? And also, I believe, the couple of twin homes.
I guess I'm not sure. Lonsdale has a tight housing market.
So do we think that it might actually affect it negatively?
Potentially.
So these are just questions to throw out there because a lot of people have been asking questions. So a couple of things I want to bring attention to is how much debt service do we have currently as a city?
I would say on our levy, our annual debt service is $900,000.
Yep, and then how much do we bring in annually off of property taxes?
This year, or for, I would say around $3 million.
So a third of that's going to debt service. So Jason, Chief Jason Schmitz here, if you don't mind. This kind of question was asked before, is how many, Section 8 low-income apartments do we have on First Avenue? I mean, there's quite a bit, but.
It's almost 60.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. And can you take us through the process of that? Because we're judging this off of, like, this project over the proposed crime from any type of apartment. But what has it been like with the police station as far as handling poor management or maybe issued tenants? What has that kind of been like for you guys as police officers?
Well, I can say if we go back 10, 15 years ago, probably around like 15, management wasn't that good. We did have an increase of crime at the apartment complexes during that time. And once we got better management in there, we saw that crime go down.
And how long of a time period was that?
I'm just estimating probably 10 years.
Okay, would you believe that our police officers would be able to handle an issue tenant properly? And then even with any type of property manager of any proposed apartment for the city of Lonsdale?
Yeah, currently our department do that.
Okay. Do you or any of your officers have any concerns over this?
No, we don't.
Okay. That's what I got for you. Thank you, Jason. Joe Pomper, I kind of got some questions for the fire department. Is this too much for the fire department to handle?
Currently, we are all volunteer staff. In addition of new construction, it does play a safer building codes. So you have to think about that also. At this moment, I would say neutral. If we get to our at this moment, 25 is our minimum requirement, is what we'd like to stay with. We'd probably push closer to maintain a 30 rosters with this increase in population size of the complex. But again, newer building codes and things like that, I don't feel like this is a larger hazard than, say, the structures.
All right, thank you, Joe. All right, Brian, thank you for your time and thank you for being here. What was your mission statement when you started your apartment in Annandale?
Well, as I mentioned, I live in Annandale, born and raised there. I have 3 kids going through the school district, and we have housing problems, a shortage of housing problems as well. So my philosophy when I started that project was I just want to do something for my community that would benefit my community. I think now that the project is up, everyone finds it to be a benefit. Going through that process, Annandale was my first project, so it was a lot of learning. It took me probably 3 years to get up and running, a lot of nights figuring out my problems on it, and once you kind of go through all that struggle, you figure out that it's really, I think it's more intimidating than it is challenging to do a project like this, and so once you get over that intimidation factor, you kind of get excited about them and passionate about them, and so that's what brought me here today.
Yeah, thank you for answering that so honestly. Do you have intentions of taking government money to help fund this project for Section 8 after it's approved as a PUD?
I do not.
Or becoming project-based? No. If you were to sell this building and somebody were to buy it, and say if they wanted to be project-based, would you sell it to them?
I would not. The highest and best use, just from an economic standpoint, is going to be a for-profit landlord. I can obviously tell us the community doesn't want a Section 8 project, and our pro forma projects us holding this asset for at least 10 years. That's what our debt will be. And then, I should also say that our management company invests in the property with us. So we've got, a management company who's invested, has equity in the project, that has a vested interest in making sure that it remains an upstanding property.
Okay. What do your recourse actions for bad tenants look like?
So we've got, one, we do, like I said, we do criminal background checks, credit checks, rental history checks. If there is a bad tenant, we can evict them. We do hold security deposits as well, which we can retain for if there's damages or costs associated with evicting them. We usually, we have very little problems with that, frankly. It's a lot of young professionals and retirees.
Yeah. And then, again, can you provide the expected price points per room?
So a studio or an alcove would be about $1,000 a month, and then for every bedroom you add on, it adds about $100 a month. So one bed would be about $1,100, $1,200 for a 2-bed, and then we've got planned for I think three bedrooms, which would be $1,300.
Okay. And is this considered a massive size apartment complex?
This is about as small as you can economically develop with any sort of project, whether it's real estate or anything. There's economies of scale. So I've got one land cost here. I've got one elevator cost. As you shrink the building, the per unit cost of those fixed costs increases. So maybe you go to 55 and still make something pencil, but it gets hard from just economy standpoint and also a management standpoint. It gets hard to dedicate a manager to the property when it gets to be too small.
Okay. Annandale had a lot of blowback on your plans from the community. Can you take us through the steps and guidance on how that worked out to hold up your end of the deal?
So most of the blowback we got, this property was zoned industrial originally. It was guided for multifamily. And on the south side, you can see there's a road where those trucks are parked. I had to put in that roadway. It cost about $600,000 to put that road in. So most of the blowback we got was from that road being put in, which the city wanted that road as a safety issue. There's houses on the east side of the site that have a single road coming in and out. So if there was some sort of event where that road got blocked, there was no access for police or fire to get there. So the city wanted to get that road put in and connect the utilities for redundancy. So that was their road, not my road. That was the main issue. It's just cars coming back and forth on that road. Now you see golf carts driving back and forth on it is really what we see, and then people coming in and out of the apartment. And you know, most of the people who complained were on the east side, and they actually use that as a shortcut now. So
Sure.
that was the main concern. The other one was the 55 plus community to the west. They just didn't want to see anything happen in their backyard. It was a field. They wanted to enjoy the field and didn't want kids running around playing. Was kind of the comments I got from that community.
Sure. So, I asked a lot of questions, and a lot of these questions came from a lot of residents that are in support of this. Granted, they aren't here. I get it. It's weird. But now, today, I got to tell you guys something that's been going on behind the scenes. Earlier this year, we had the landowner that owns this property. We had him in a council meeting. This man has promised us so many things. The houses that are included on there, promised us 400,000 square foot of incubator space and gave us a garage condo unit. And I said, I'm done playing games. We're gonna take the land back that was once taxpayer funded, and we currently have debt service that we're paying on. Joel and I had purchase agreements. We were waiting every single week, trying to get a number, trying to bring it to council and have a conversation about it. All of you paid into that business park. It's a shame what happened to it. What happened was, about 2 months in from that meeting, 2 months in, he sends me an email. And he states to me, he goes, me and the partners talked, we decided to take all of our land, we're gonna sell it out to an investment firm out of Tennessee. And if you know what that's like a stab in the heart. Because here I gotta sit here and I gotta think about this while you guys are upset about this apartment. And I get it, I totally get it. To say that we're not listening to you guys, it's a fallacy. We do listen to you. But honestly, if I let this land go to an investment firm out of Tennessee, that really opens a lot of other issues that might come from it. And when we look at those kind of things, it's going to be, no matter what, tax incremental financing, cut the deals on the water and sewer rates. It's gonna be just significantly more for the city to try to make attractive. But I wanted to make this known because there's a bigger picture to this. There's always gonna be a bigger picture to this. So what came from this, right? So me talking to you guys and opening up about it, it makes no sense for me to complain to any of you without a solution. So the solution very well is there is a business that's buying them out of the business park. It's coming in with so many jobs. We're waiting for this whole thing to close and get a green light. So then that way we can give actual competitive paying jobs for the city of Lonsdale. And I know this has been promised for years and years and years by people that sat here before me. But this is the reality of what we're working with. When I go through the industrial park and I talk to these business owners, I get it. They're not here. I get that. But you know what? They see all the Facebook posts. They see all of it. They pay attention. And what the response I would get from all that was very much, wow, this ain't the Lonsdale I came into. This isn't the Lonsdale I built my brand around. Because some of the comments made by anonymous people, because they don't want to put their name in the game. They don't want to put any skin in it. Then I sit there and I truly think about it. I'm a first-term mayor. I'm trying to do the best job that I possibly can for all of you, okay? Yeah, people didn't like chickens in their backyard, okay? But there was a lot of people that signaled they wanted chickens in their backyard, okay? There's some people that like sheds the same color as their house and their garage, okay? But some people don't care, you know? You're not gonna make everybody happy. But the part about it is I sit here as an elected official, and I'm going through all this behind the scenes, and I'm thinking about all of you. Whether we agree or disagree, I'm thinking of all of you. And there's a bigger picture that I am fighting for. There's a lot of things done that weren't fair, they weren't right. And what bothers me to my core is when I log into Facebook and I see Wesley Mizil over here post a picture of me. And then the comments that come with it. I get it. It's the territory of it. But the frustrating part is I'm just like all of you. I have kids. I care. I care about my house. I understand the whole crime thing. I'm really empathetic towards a lot of the things that were said today. But nobody sitting here deserves death threats. Nobody here deserves for their kids to be playing in the backyard in some car that they never seen before and somebody pulling off in the side yard, walking towards them. I get that. That stuff has happened to me. And it's really frustrating because I got essentially this target on me because I'm mayor. And so a lot of this is difficult to talk about, and I get it, but I want to put it all on the table. There's a lot of things that I wanted to say over my time as mayor, and this is very much what I've been kind of holding back. And now that some things are working, you guys deserve the truth of it. This property, this apartment, this was the first thing I heard of from a lot of people that were in town that found out I won as mayor. A bunch of seniors reached out to me. They're going to Newmarket, they're going to New Prague, they're going to all these other places, especially now that this clinic doesn't exist. So then we hear a lot of other wants and needs. We heard KFC, we heard a park, we heard all that. And I get it. I have an on-running list of things that people say. And I'm not giving up at all on any of you. But the thing is, this isn't city-owned land. And it's really hard to make it attractive for people to come in and do it. But my business owners have been begging for this. They have so many employees that live in Faribault, Owatonna, Northfield. And I sit down and I talk with them. I asked for growth plans. I asked if they wanted to expand, you know, what has their life in Lonsdale included. And one letter from MnDAC that came in, it very much said, and I've had this discussion with Jairus and Lee that own it too, and they very well had stated, hey, we're going to go where our employees are at, and they're at Faribault. That's how it is, 25 to 30 jobs, you just getting gone. The truth is yeah, a lot of people look at what might come into it, but let's be a little realistic with that answer too. Because you got TMI that's looking at an expansion, you're looking at this other business that's coming in, you're looking at MnDAC, you're looking at even Minnesota Millwork employs a lot of people. To say that there's not a place to make a fair wage In the city of Lonsdale, that is dismissive, because I've walked with those people in those buildings that do make a livable wage, but they just don't want to buy a house. We all know about the Minnesota first-time home buyer program. The problem is not saving up for a house. The problem is maintaining the house. It's paying a high mortgage. It's paying for all the insurance. How many of you got dinged with escrow on insurance the last 2 years? It's insane. So, I mean, I really want you guys to understand that when we're up here, we're looking all over the city of Lonsdale. You know, we're not just tied up, you know, everything's going great in our lives, you know, this is what I'm focused on. We're looking at a bigger, larger picture, and there's a lot of people that do actually support this. And so now we are tasked with the decision, do we trust the intentions of what's going on here or not? Do we want to go to a PUD and negotiate terms more? Do we want to see maybe the houses go to the south side on Ash Street? You know, do we want the parking lot turned around? Do we want to see what else we can negotiate in a PUD? I think it was mentioned in the planning and zoning meeting that probably that whole Section 8 thing could be brought up towards a PUD. There's just so many unknowns. And to sit here and vote it down at this step, we need more answers. We need to ask more questions and more studies. However, I get what you guys are saying, kill it now, that way we don't have to go down this road. But the thing is that's unfair to all the other people that have been begging for this for months and months and months. So,
But where are they tonight? Where are they?
you know what? Every time that they made a comment on Facebook,
Respectfully, it's a valid question.
every time they made a comment on Facebook, they were just getting dragged.
Is anyone in this room that's on this side of the table? Anyone here for it?
I have a question about the technical aspect.
Other than the guy on the podium, I mean, I rest my case.
Touching back to this Bolton bank for the $38,000 wastewater, whatever, is that evaluation going to include, you know, when this is obviously voted through or pray not, is that going to include this, the Bolton Bank wastewater fiasco, as well as the new businesses that you just mentioned are going in, the 70-person business? So how's that Bolton Bank going to transfer the wastewater delineation or whatever you mentioned? How are they going to do that in accordance to with this going up and then this new business of 70 employees?
Are you referring to the next item on the agenda, $38,000 for a wastewater treatment plant evaluation?
I thought you mentioned that.
Or the waste,
that already.
or,
That was for wetlands, Wesley.
Oh, that's for my mistake. I'm sorry. I'm ahead of the agenda, I guess. So, okay.
Please explain.
That will be my question.
Thank you for explaining where you're coming from. Could you explain the options? So, I heard you say something POD, I don't know what that means.
it's a planned unit development.
Like something like this, or are you talking about like a strip mall?
A planned unit development is just mixed density.
It's a type of zoning.
So instead of like an R1 or an R2 or R3 or R4, you're open, because this would be an R4, right?
Correct.
So,
What are the options of, okay, so it sounds like there's maybe three options. There's, I'm sorry, what's your name, sir? Brian. Brian develops the apartment. The other option is some Tennessee company buys it. Could you explain what happens then? And could you explain what if neither of those happen? Is that too much? I know you did.
So the investment firm is an unknown. That's what it is. Essentially, if Brian doesn't get it, it goes to the investment firm, and the price of the land is going to be significantly more higher than the $375,000 that Brian's trying to buy it for right now. So even if we were to do housing on that side, or even if we were trying to bring a business inside, what happens is we talk to these businesses that want to come here, and they very much go, let's see the incentives. Whether it's tax incremental financing, tax abatement, whatever it is. Everybody's looking for incentives. And so when they pay such an exorbitant amount for land price, that's where the city comes into play. If the city owns the land, you can cut the deal on the land price. And what it does is it offsets the responsibility of the city to participate in a tax abatement, and then they abate from the county. But it makes it more better for a business to get attracted to the city of Lonsdale. I hope that can answer your question.
Can I say one thing about that too? So, just so you're aware that under the current B3 zoning, multifamily is permitted as council member.
Second and third floors.
So, someone could build an apartment building under the current zoning here. The difference is that apartment building would have to have retail with it and would not have a single family housing buffer on it as well. So, I feel like we're stepping down from
That's
this.
the only thing preventing somebody else or you from just doing it is the provision to have stores.
It'd be similar, Burnsville has that in the heart of the city where it's kind of a New York style, you've got a bunch of storefronts with apartments above.
So potentially that could just happen without.
It's currently zoned for that, yes.
Yes.
Thanks for explaining.
So are you saying you would have commercial in that space?
No, that's the way it's currently zoned, that is an allowed use, so.
And under the PUD, we would negotiate, there would be no commercial as part of the PUD.
Yeah, it would just be residential.
This is how thick the commercial zoning ordinance is, because we're working on it right now in planning and zoning.
Basically comply with how it's currently zoned. You could build this building, but you'd have to put commercial in it.
Correct.
Which then from a cost standpoint to justify, like you stated earlier, to put commercial in there, now we'd be looking at what, like a 4-level unit? It's gonna change a lot of building codes, costs, so it's really not cost effective for you to do that.
Well, you
Hence the request for rezoning.
Personally, I don't think mixed use ever functions very well in practicality, and retail levels just don't work very well. That's why we like to do just traditional multifamily projects.
I get that, but it's more or less, it's a possibility to do it right now with commercial, it's just not cost effective for you and your investment.
I haven't run the numbers on whether or not it's cost effective. To be transparent, I would assume that we could figure it out, but I don't want to be in a mixed use product. I don't like how the retail functions in those buildings.
Is there, when you explained about the Tennessee people buying it, were you trying to explain that they could just sell it and then make an apartment with stores in it, or were you?
No, what it is essentially, the landowner that owns it, I had a lot of frustration because we were promised a lot of things for a lot of years and it never got built. And the city was making deals with them on land prices and it never came and it was never done. So then we had a council meeting, he came in and I directed a question towards them. And I said, yeah, you said you were gonna come in with 400,000 square feet of incubator buildings. You promised us $600,000 of additional revenue into the city, county schools. And then he said to me, well, I never promised you that. Well, had him in the minutes, had him in the video. And because of that, essentially what it is it's a let-up effort to essentially make me think, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell you the land, and we're gonna cut this deal, and we're gonna do it. But then in the background, finding somebody else to buy the land so you could pitch it and make money. That's essentially what it is. And it's frustrating to me because I said from there, I don't like a middleman in any conversations when it comes to the city and future growth and development. And that's just me being transparent as get out can be.
And Mayor,
So-
I understand your frustrations in that, but let's be honest, when it comes down to it, business is business and promises mean nothing. So until you got a deal locked up, I mean, you can't hold on to promises, right?
And I think that's exactly why we got,
Promises to the community, you know?
and I think that's exactly what we got going on right
And
now.
on the belief that we will listen to the people and we will do what the people want, right? Or what you would think the masses here, that the only ones that are opposing it, there's no one here in the audience that's for it. Again, promises will stop
for yourself.
Okay, well, you haven't said anything tonight, time to speak
I've
up.
just been listening because if you stop and think and listen to everybody here, there's nothing but continuously negative comments. Comments. I wasn't gonna come today because I knew it was gonna be this. I got 2 kids that wanna stay living here, but they can't buy a place. They have no place to live. They're still living with me, they're adults. They want their own place, but they don't want to move out of town.
1,400 a month?
This
though,
would
and they
be
can
help
afford
them
that?
out to stay in town.
Pardon?
Well, to answer your question, yes, my son just moved out. He moved to La Center. He's paying $1,700 a month for a house payment.
But it doesn't give us rights.
But he could have made that payment. My daughter lives with a roommate in Northfield.
So if this is.
You know, there was no option for them. They had to leave town.
I want to address something that people were posting about in the happenings page too, about if a project like this would come into town, it would ruin the small town feel. I campaigned on keeping the small town feel with healthy growth. Part of what makes the town feel small is the sense of community. It doesn't matter how many homes or how many people are here, as long as everybody is involved in the community. If you want to join and volunteer, you can volunteer at Community Day. There's other events that you can volunteer at. You can get involved in your churches. If you don't have a church, you can check them out. We have 3 great ones in town here. You could join a club like the Legion, the Lions, the Knights of Columbus, to name a few. You can get to know your neighbors. You can have neighborhood block parties. I know some neighborhoods already do that, not just on 19 night. Halloween is an awesome, awesome time in Lonsdale. Everybody boasts about how fun it is because the neighbors just come together and have a great time handing out candy and having those bonfires. So continuing to do things like those. Supporting small businesses in town, shopping local, supporting these mom and pop shops instead of the big corporations. That's another way to promote community and keep the town small. And starting a small business. Everybody complains about business and what they want. Well, a lot of times it's not up to the city of what is here. It's if people have the money and the capital and the plan to make it happen. So you can always start a small business. You just have to have the ability to do that. And then also attending meetings to stay up to date and provide feedback like you all are doing tonight. This is awesome. I love the feedback. I appreciate you coming and voicing your opinions. That's exactly what we need to keep this community small and keep it together. And appreciate each other's feedback. Some might not agree, but just having respect for each other, that's a huge part of community as well. So I just had to say that because it's been brought up multiple times, and I moved here to Lonsdale because of the small town feel, and I want to keep it that way too.
Kari, as to your point about businesses, people say that we need to have we need fast food, we need this and that. There's a criteria for those businesses. If you want a franchise, you can't just decide, hey, I want to put a McDonald's in Lonsdale. Corporate would say no way. And to the point, the gentleman that owns the Dairy Queen franchise for our community, we don't have one because he says he'll never make any money. Businesses don't go into business just to have employees. It has to be profitable. And if they can't make any money, there's no sense in doing it. So that, for example, is why there isn't a Dairy Queen here, because he owns that and he says when the numbers are good enough, he will bring a Dairy Queen to town.
Well, I got another question then. If this is being built, that would bring more people in town, right? And keep
Potentially.
some people in town that would have to move out because they don't have renting, but they can't afford to rent a $1,300 if they can rent in a studio apartment, like a single college student or a single student trying to make it in the world. What kind of money impact would that have for the city to bring that kind of people into town? And what would that bring to the small town businesses that are here for the people coming in?
Well, you would obviously.
Doing a study on that. What's the positive part of it?
Well, one of the things right out of
Besides the actual housing itself.
Yeah, one of the things right out of the chute that we deal with, it's the, I'm drawing a blank to the terminology, but when we hit the 5,000 person mark in town, we get funding from the state. Currently, all that funding goes to Rice County, and Rice County decides how they want to spend it with us. We don't get a choice.
But it's for street maintenance.
Street maintenance, for example, but that number, I believe, Elko Newmarket, when they hit their 5,000 mark.
Like 260.
Yeah, about $250,000. So right now, there's, say $250,000 that we don't get. Rice County gets it, and then they dole it out to whatever they want to. They may say, Lonsdale, your county roads are fine. We don't want to spend it there. And they could stick it into Faribault. They're not obligated to spend that money here. When we hit that 5,000 mark, then that money becomes available to us. And there's caveats to it, there's certain specifications, but I'm just using it as an example. That can help some of your tax burden, because that's 250 grand that we get to dictate what it's gonna get used for on road projects and stuff like that. And then, from a employer or a business standpoint of, I'll say, the liquor store, the grocery store, the gas stations, all of that, as we invest in our businesses, in our properties, our buildings, not just employment, but we're improving our buildings, our facades, all that stuff, that raises our property taxes. And as a result, those property taxes, business property taxes, by design, should lower your residential property taxes. If we don't get a break on our commercial properties like you do with your home taxes. Those have you get the homestead exclusions. That the government kind of offsets some of your taxes. Properties don't get that, or commercial properties don't get that.
So to get back to that, with that, has there been a study even brought up that brings to say, well, what could this bring into the community cash flow wise for the other businesses that are here, and to greenlight some other businesses that were saying, no, I don't want nothing to do with it. Well, wait a minute, we might be thinking about it now that you guys are actually doing something as a community.
I don't know about that specifically.
To increase something to get people to think about, oh, maybe I would like to build my little business in this town.
I don't know, I can't speak to that specifically, but I actually want to go a step back. I want to bring up something that was earlier when somebody said, I think it was Ryan, you said, was there any study done about the need or whatever? Then the state, I believe, Brian, you actually came to the city wanting to do a market study, but we as a city opted to do the market study so we would own the data. Because if he would have paid the $5 grand or whatever it was for the market study and said, this really doesn't work for me, and walked, he takes that data with him. We opted to pay for it, so we own that data, so we could actually see what the potential was.
At that point, has there been other interest from other people? I mean, because I know obviously everybody's here because they don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, where you're coming from. Thanks for explaining that. While I'm talking, thank you for telling us about the person who did not feel comfortable. Obviously.
Oh, there's tons of them.
Yeah. But that is awful. Everybody should feel comfortable. Thank you for coming here.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't going to come because I knew it was going to be this kind of an atmosphere.
But especially in light of what happened yesterday, we should all be able to express how we feel and not feel intimidated.
And I don't believe any of these people they don't feel threatened with violence or anything like that. That's not the case. But when you feel like you're in the minority, and you maybe aren't, there's a lot of elderly people that have spoken out that said, I'm tired of doing lawn maintenance, but I'm not going to move into the retirement home.
So thank you for doing that. So to the point, has there been other interest in what to do? What could you foresee happening to this property? Obviously, if we're able to say no, it doesn't happen. What are the other options, right?
That list that he provided.
So to answer your question, sir, no, there's not been an economic impact study done. And to answer your question, sir, about a week after Brian, we had our first conversation. I got a call from a developer from Owatonna that wants to build apartments here.
Same thing?
Same thing.
Any other interest to build something else?
Apartments.
Unfortunately, it boils down to cost of construction. If you want to do twin homes or single family homes or whatever, the cost per square foot is what it boils down to. He's here to make money. I mean, that's what people are in business for.
If it sits and does nothing, then what happens to the city of Lonsdale? Could somebody else could, like we covered before, jam in an apartment with stores?
Yep.
So the option is it might just sit. What could you foresee? Finger in the wind.
Well, and here's the very unfortunate thing about that is they could develop it with the lower level stores. And I mean, we've seen some of the challenges with trying to maintain small businesses in the economy and whatnot. They could build the place and all of those stores could be empty. And they could still operate an apartment building.
Okay, so.
There's-
say
there's-
you do
there's-
that,
there's
let's
nothing
say
that can be
Brian
done about
wants to, you know, we hear a lot of, there's no intent for this, intent for that. You know, I got roped into a pyramid scheme when I was young, and his intent was to have me ride a wave runners off the yacht. That's not happening, right? Talk about intent. Well, so there's no intent for, you know, Section 8, but is there a way to put bumpers on that to make sure it doesn't happen? To protect, is there any kind of, you know, what
Insurances of some kind so that it will never go to that type of housing.
I'll let Brian answer this.
It is probably something that we could negotiate in the PUD agreement, put some bench stops on that, but I do know that there's legislature to make that essentially illegal across the entire state at some point, so I think, and that's why I say intent, like, I can't predict what the state legislature is gonna do. I know that, you know, city of Minneapolis has that, St. Paul obviously has some income, or some rent restrictions on their properties, but, you know, we could, assuming it's legal, I don't know if it's legal, but I mean, I'd be happy to put language in the PUD agreement so long as it doesn't.
Because there is a possibility that it wouldn't carry at the state level, and then it would
Right.
it'd still be enforceable.
Yeah, and that's, you know, when I say intent, I don't know what other word to use there, but, you know, it's not up yet, so I can't tell you anything about my intentions. And so, you know, if that's something you want to explore.
But that would follow the PUD of the property itself.
It would be in the PUD agreement, so that would live with the property. And right now, you have, someone could come in and build an apartment with first floor retail and Section 8 housing above it if they wanted, without a PUD.
But there's no one knocking on the door right now, other than you, right?
Well,
there was one.
Literally a week after we had a conversation with Brian, we had another developer call, wanting to do apartments.
And then you got Tennessee's, they come in and buy it, probably even have a say so at all with put in there.
what's the other development, right?
Well, yeah, but they still don't put it in and say, you know what?
We said we were working with Brian at the time, and
I've got the land under a purchase agreement, nobody else can do anything with it.
How long is that for?
That's my business.
I just want to comment, I have talked to many business owners, especially the restaurants, and they, the employees and everything seemed to think that it would bring in a lot of good business for our community, which then in turn comes in as tax dollars, you know, that helps our economy too.
Is there any way you can make them more expensive?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Central air.
It's a for-profit development, so we'll maximize the rents as soon as the market will support it.
In the planning and zoning, you had mentioned that you were gonna have maybe a 0.5 property manager on site. Is there potential to have a full-time and maybe a resident of the property that could serve in that role so that they're there 24/7?
It typically is a resident of the property, and usually they get some sort of discounted rent because they're gonna act as the property manager as well. A property of this size, they'd be twiddling their thumbs for 0.5 of the day, I think, if there was a full-time FTE on it. So I don't know.
What about maintenance staff on site for something like that?
We've got a roving maintenance crew.
Okay.
Would you feel comfortable explaining how maybe, maybe there's a few troublesome renters, how, you just wait till it expires, just say, no, we won't renew with you?
No, we've got the ability to evict in our leases. So we have a signed lease contract with a tenant, and you know, during COVID, you couldn't evict there's government restrictions as evicting, but right now that's gone, so we can, if there's a troubled tenant, we evict them. We don't want a troubled tenant, because they're gonna disrupt our other tenants, and that's our, you know, this is my business, this is my, instead of selling widgets, I'm selling space.
How many apartments or?
This would be my third. This is, no, Lonsdale.
You built one in Annville, right?
Yeah.
How many other ones?
And then I got Hutchinson started, we just closed on that yesterday.
So, 2.
So you're really new for 10 years?
I'm new, I've got partners in this project who've been doing this for 20 years, so.
So, but like after 10 years, you could potentially sell it? Have different management, different owners?
I think that could be said about any property.
All right.
I have one other thing, Brian. Brian, what about making it half and half? doing 2 separate buildings. What if we started out with 20, or let's say 26 units to see how it goes, and then build another 26 units?
It's not cost effective.
I know it's not cost effective, but
Then I've got
it would be a good, it would be, at least you'd have one building instead of putting a, what is it, $15 million to build that?
So the hard part is that I've got 2 elevators, I've got, those are $60,000 a piece, I've got 2
Yeah,
bathrooms.
well, each building would have its own. I've lived in apartment buildings that each one of them were 30 units each. And they both had their own elevator. And so I'm just curious on that aspect, if we could go ahead with one and see how it goes. See if we can get the renters,
I think,
because otherwise we're gonna have a 58 unit apartment, maybe half full. It could, you don't know what the economy's gonna do.
What, do we know what's the Elko?
58,
58 it is?
and then they're gonna be
Yeah, they're
adding
starting their
another
second phase right now.
38 to it.
Yeah, they're adding another phase.
Would it be done in phases, so you'd do the apartment building and then you'd do the homes, or it would be just one big project all up at the same time?
so I don't intend to build the houses, I would sell those to a housing developer.
Okay.
Look at just the house part,
The houses are on Birch Street.
Facing the
There's
north.
9, like slab on grade, I think, proposed.
So you already got the elevators though before it's approved?
What?
You said you already have 2 elevators for 60,000 apiece? I didn't understand what that was.
That's how much an elevator costs.
Oh,
Right.
I thought you said you had 2.
He would have 2 if he had 2 buildings.
I thought you
Go
had
ahead.
I have a question for Kyle Love. I live across the street, so I left and I listened to it on YouTube, and I decided to run back across and ask this question while it's still in that phase. You mentioned something about the private owners that own the land now, correct? So is it the city's position that this is the best thing to not get screwed for the next 30 years on what that private developer could do to the city? Is the city nippled in any way? Do they have any leverage on this deal, or is this deal organic? Or are you trying to get out of, are you being forced? You can't answer this, I have no idea.
No, I can.
The way you explained it is, this guy wants to build, he's got all these plans, he's here in front of us getting grilled. And the other option is, ARC Investment, or whoever owns that property, LLC, or whoever it is, can kind of do whatever they want, and then that gets out of the city's control over what they can.
So backing up a little bit, we've been having discussions with Brian about this property before that even got mentioned, before that land was ever mentioned about being sold to an investment firm. So this was already, we were doing due diligence, vetting, looking at the next steps of what that might be, right? And at that point in time, that's when we were trying to get the business park land back, the 2.21 acres south of Dollar General back. We were all trying to do that.
This was the same thing that people ran into when they wanted to approve the quick trip.
Right.
Which obviously I'm a part of, I was right across the street. So when everyone brought it up, well, why wouldn't they put it by Dollar General? Well, that's private. They can't do it. So the city said, well, we have this land, and they have this same company, right? So as an outside viewer looking in, you have this ARC Management owns, prime real estate right next to Magnitude, and prime real estate right next to an empty city lot that is now going to be a quick trip. So now we're nibbling 2 different lots. Because I can guarantee you ARC Management's lot across the street next to nothing was worth nothing. When that quick trip gets built next year, are they going to come back and do the same thing to the city and say, well, we have this great plan of 400,000 in this and la 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 la, and screw the city out of being forced into maybe a position that the citizens obviously don't necessarily like, but is the city in a position where they don't have, your hands are kind of tied. If that makes sense. Don't have no leverage. Correct. I mean, you lose the leverage. Like he said, I have to be in it for 10 years. He's not going to have bad tenants. You know, I believe that, you know, I mean, why would you want bad, customers at your property, correct? But, you know, after the 10 years, if he doesn't like it or he wants to move on from it, that's fine. But is this deal the best deal, or is this deal the only deal to not get them to screw the city? I guess is my question. And I don't know if you can answer that, but it's gonna run into the same thing with the lot across the street.
Good question.
You know,
Yeah.
now, when the quick trip goes up, you have a business, you know, potentially that there's another commercial lot on the other side of that, right? So if there's a quick trip, these people across the street, well, you know, we're just gonna put in a fake order and sit on it. And then once the quick trip goes up, then they can go back to whoever was thinking about building there and say, well, sorry, we're gonna have, you know, 700 more people every morning come by your business. And now instead of selling it to you for 200, we're gonna sell it to you for $1 million, and the city doesn't have that lot anymore.
Right, yep.
So we don't own that lot. All we own is the property right here.
So who owns that lot?
ARC.
ARC, do you know who ARC is?
Yeah, it's the same guy that owns the
developer.
lot that Brian's looking
Do
at.
you know who are they?
Gary
It's-
Tupy?
Yeah.
So
He's
Gary
been
Tupy-
a developer here for 25 years.
Okay, he said, yes, he built my house. So, well, how did the city sell him those lots? How does he have them under contract for anything? There's nothing on them.
Right, we sold it to him. We bought this 10 acres
Correct, so,
for the PD, and then we sold him that lot. We sold him a Quick Trip, and we have about 3 acres remaining south of the PD.
It's not a,
so he's been developing here for 5 years, at least, correct?
25.
So 20, so I would assume he's known you for 10, correct?
I've known Gary,
At
yes.
least, yeah. So what is to say, I mean, that the city didn't sell them in the last election cycle to them with the expectation that they could move on from them, or that there would be a quick trip across the line. I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
I
it
guess
seems
I'm not
very
sure what
suspect
the- I
that
guess
the
I'm-
same company has this, probably the most two prime real estate lots in the city.
Sounds like
And
smart.
they're gonna be able to wait around.
Sounds like a smart businessman.
I would say the same one.
When you're in real estate, prime land, right? You don't buy the least desirable lot, so more power to him.
Right.
Because
So
He's
what
owned,
I'm
he's owned that,
saying
he's owned
is-
that land for
what I'm
25
saying, you know
years.
who Gary Tupy is?
Well, that's why,
That's who you've contacted with? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is the city put in a position to where they have to take this deal?
No.
And neither,
That's fine with me, I'm just saying, that's a lot of conflict of interest for some really savvy real estate people. I mean, why wouldn't you not
No.
build a quick trip right here and then turn around and sit on an empty lot for 6 months, get a quick trip built, and then turn around and jack the price up tenfold?
now,
We didn't buy the land from Gary Tupy, so I'm not sure what the conflict is. Yeah?
Yeah.
That
And
land.
and
We
it's,
actually
not
put it
that
out for, we
land.
actually put it out for bid, and he was the high bid.
I would bet. It's convenient.
and he's been paying property tax on that land and the other lot the whole time. Well, I understand
What
that,
is the
but,
property tax on an empty lot?
Minimal.
there's something as opposed to this lot over here where Quick Trip's going, where there wasn't any tax being paid on it.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, in that meeting, when it was brought up by the legal there, the answer was it's a private lot. So we don't have any sway. That's what they said. Then you get to this, and now you're swaying on private lots. So I'm just saying, looks suspect.
This
I
is a
guess I'm
rezoning.
confused, I don't know what you're.
so one thing is
So
Brian here worked with the city, and we looked at all the other lots in town that maybe we could put it in. We looked at the C1 over there, and then, east of Dollar General, the city owns that. And the thing is I believe because it was a min deed grant, we weren't able to change the zoning on that to even allow that type of apartment up there. And so then Brian had seen the 8th Avenue property, and he said, I think I could make that work there. And then from there, we got him in contact with Gary, which Gary, during that council meeting, very much said that he would not sell it to an apartment. Brian was able to have that conversation with Gary to where he went under contract with the apartment. The 9 houses to the north is what he originally proposed, when the police station was having a conversation about being on 8th. But instead, a lot of the residents and former council member Steve Cherney said, no, let's buy it up on the hill up here. Let's get this land, let's rezone it, and let's sell it and make a profit off it. And so that's kind of the play-by-play with all of that going on. So, I mean, Brian didn't just have a conversation with Gary to work this deal out. Yeah, I hope that kind of helps a little bit, but.
And I got a quick question. Is there any way you can negotiate something with them if this goes through to help alleviate that, to get that other property from them as part of it? Say, if you want this, well, we need this in order to make this happen. So that way he's not profiting off of 3 different locations in the future.
But the property's for sale. If anyone wants to buy it, they can. And if Quick Trip comes and it doubles in that awesome. Good for you. You know, I mean, we sold it to Gary. I'm not even sure. It was before COVID.
Just thought I'd ask. It's just something to think about. I mean, you say everybody wants a deal. Well, there you go. The city wants a deal.
But this isn't a deal with the city, this is.
Yeah, we're not we're not part of the land transaction.
All right, so.
I don't know if we're gonna get anywhere.
Can I ask a question about the 9 homes?
Yeah, go ahead.
But, I mean, so you said that that won't be part of once the apartment complex is up, you are just you won't be in charge of those homes. So what's happening with these homes? What will it look like?
Well, likely they'll go up for sale, living in the lots.
So they are not going to be rented?
Well, I can't control who, someone wants to buy and build a rental house.
I mean, to cram 9 houses right there.
That's what Gary had planned on the site, so that's the exact same plan.
It was just a copy and paste as a concept, right? So way before preliminary, it's just a visual you can see during this meeting.
It was to create a buffer, is what the intent was.
So.
Because you could put up a whole bunch of standing trees or whatever to create that, but then at the same time, there's no property tax, there's no, there's no development, we have a shortage of houses, or buildable lots, this generated buildable lots and, property tax revenue for the city.
Now, it's not zoned for residential homes, though, is it?
That'd be part of the PUD.
That's part of the PUD.
So that would have to be like the businesses?
No, that's part of what this agreement is. Planned unit development is a agreement between the city and the developer. It's a collaboration.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So as you said that, so this was the previous meeting, which I was in for maybe 2, was planning and zoning, right?
Yes.
They voted no, based on, you got, I think someone up there, if I'm not mistaken, had stated that they based on the public's, impact, right, or what they heard. So why was that not enough? When it goes to planning and zoning, like, what is the significance and importance of that if their goal has no impact if we're here now?
Planning and zoning fulfills a legal obligation to have a public hearing and hear comments.
They just make a recommendation, the city council has the final say.
I'm not familiar with that exact process, so that's
It's okay.
I just curious, thank you.
All right.
Tom, I got one more thing. So Brian, if you bought that, you own that whole chunk of land, right?
That's correct.
Could you put a park there instead of, or sell back to the city so they can put a park there instead of putting houses there?
They want to buy it, I guess that would be part of it.
Instead of a buffer,
I'm not in the business
they can
of
plant trees,
running it.
they can plant trees as a buffer instead, like somebody had mentioned, and put a park there.
If the city
Or
buys it,
could
it
you
comes.
put a park there for, like, the people that are renting?
So every development that gets made, there's, according to our ordinances, is that there is a parkland dedication. And so that would be also negotiated with this PUD of what that would be and look like.
So that would be on that property?
It could potentially be on there, or we could possibly take cash in lieu and invest it into a different park for other amenities that a lot of people have been talking about. There's a lot of options we can work with a PUD. So it's essentially, actually in the city's hand, it's almost the best interest to go into a PUD versus just having it zoned properly, because there's a lot more conversations we could have. The PUD is kind of the city's leverage to work with the developer and say, this is what we want to see, this is what we want to do, let's talk about it. All right, council members, what do we want to do?
Okay, I'll just say, personally, I would like to wait until Brian is back on the 25th to I value having all of us present. This is a big decision. That's just where I'm sitting. So I would like to not make a motion on the decision tonight. I appreciate the discussion because it gives me a lot more to think through. Because like I said at the beginning when I was asked by you, I am torn. I don't know yet. So I'm not comfortable making a decision if Brian's not here, because he is one of your elected officials as well. So I want to be respectful of that, my personal opinion.
All right, so motion by Miller to postpone until the 25th city council meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, second by Palava. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to add, as I said earlier, I was torn on it because I very much appreciate the cons or those that are opposed for it. I really do. But at the same time, I'm seeing the other side of it. Because I've had those conversations, interactions, and now the conversations we've had tonight, I think everybody can agree. There has been some enlightenment. I'm not saying it swayed anybody, but I think there's been some questions that were answered. Or maybe people will have come up with more questions that we can have a more in-depth conversation. I got more out of tonight's meeting than watching the planning commission last week. I think that's fair. I do admit there was a Facebook comment. I'm sorry, it wasn't a Facebook comment, it was a email that the city received that said that apartment residents are painted with a broad brush, that they're all trash and garbage. And having been an apartment dweller, I don't feel that way. We're all just one life event away from having being in that position. 2009, when the economy tanked, I had a brand 4-year-old house. My house was in foreclosure. I owned a business in town. I couldn't just up and leave and move somewhere else. My wife and I actually said, where are we going to move? We had no options. I was able to pull it off, and we got through it. And does that make me, if I would have had an apartment, living in an apartment, does that make me a less of a individual? Well, I think it's a stereotype, and I think it's truly being unfair. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. All right, any further discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for yours too.
Consider approval of the proposal submitted by Bolton and Mink in the amount of $38,000 for a wastewater treatment plant evaluation. Joe Dornfeld.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Over the past few years, staff's been faced with challenges in operations at the wastewater treatment plant, such as aging equipment, biosolids hauling, and overall performance at the plant. Bolton and Mink has put together a proposal to address these issues. Here from Bolton and Mink is John Groutman. This proposal has two options. He was kind enough to come to the meeting tonight to give you guys some great detail on each of these options. So, thank you, John.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. So the proposal you have in front of you really is a two-level proposal. The staff recommendation is to go with would be a wastewater evaluation and an asset management plan. Asset management plan would evaluate all the components of the facility, essentially just short of maybe a capital improvements plan versus the full facility plan. Both of these would review the existing capacity that the facility has and compare that to where the city's growth projections are to determine does the plant have a 5-year life, 10-year life on a capacity basis. And obviously all the discussions tonight would tie into where that lifespan would go to. The plant has some capacity yet from the 2003 construction, which was 22 years ago, but it is starting to near its final capacity. The second half of the proposal would be to increase this to be a full facility plan. Facility plan is a formal planning document that would be submitted to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. That includes also some additional funding applications and puts you in position to secure some of the state financing if a large enough project is desired. With that, obviously, there's a little additional cost of facility plan that does look at a full 20-year growth projection. Typically, those get tripped when you have new limits or you are up against more acute needs. Right now, the city of Lonsdale, fortunately, is not sitting at quite the acute needs that you don't have any notices of violations on record. You don't have any new limits being proposed by the MPCA that you can't meet. So it puts you in a little bit better position. So I think the staff's opinion, which we had also looked at, was to proceed with the wastewater evaluation, really looking more at a 10-year window versus the facility plan, which should be more of the longer-term 20-year. If we come to the point after the first evaluation that there's needs, we need to expand this. Expanding to the facility plan would be no additional cost beyond what's in the proposal right now for the facility plan. So this would be a first step, could easily be expanded if there was a desire. Having walked through the facility, it's in generally good condition for a 22-year-old plant. I know probably one of the primary needs that's being closest to acute is the biosolids storage. Farming practices have changed. You can no longer count on applying spring fall, which was the standard for the last 40 years. That has changed in the last 10 years. Farmers are not allowing anybody on their farm in the spring. That's not just City of Lonsdale, that's across the state. So all facilities are running up against that and trying to find ways to handle biosolids. Any questions for me?
Well, I want to thank you for sticking around. I'll pass this around to Council. Kari, you got anything you want to ask or add to this?
No, we've been talking about these wastewater plant evaluations and studies for quite some time, so I think we just need to go ahead and get it done so that we're being proactive instead of reactive.
All right, Jamie?
I'm good, we used up enough time.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm gonna copy on what Kari said. Yeah, this has been an ongoing discussion since I got on the council that, the options there were so many options, but we didn't know what was the best way to do it, both for price and for logistics, so it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. This is one thing that really came out of that walkthrough with the wastewater treatment plant. And Joe, I bet you're excited.
I am.
So I'll make a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Bolton and Mink.
I'll second.
All right, motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Consider approval of an upgrade to the computer and software at the wastewater treatment plant. Joe Dornfeld.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Before I start with this staff report, I would just like to say I have added the quotes on the desk for you guys that I obtained earlier this week. A recent upgrade of staff computers to Windows 11 has revealed a need to update the computer and software at the wastewater treatment plant. Currently, the wastewater treatment plant, SCADA, and the dialer run on Windows 10 and outdated software, set to be no longer supported in October of 2025. Automatic Systems is working on a proposal, which you have in front of you. The proposal, Automatic Systems has a proposal with and without a computer workstation. Also included is the Factory Talk workstation software upgrade and license, the Win 911 license upgrade, Windows 11, and the professional services to set up the computer and implement all the software. Just so you guys are aware, Factory Talk and Win 911. Factory Talk is the part of the computer that talks to the plant, that operates it. Win 911 is the dialer system that calls us if there's a problem with the plant. So, my recommendation is to hire Automatic Systems for the Factory Talk workstation, the Win 911, and the Windows and the professional services to set up the computer and implement the software. Plant operation, emergency calls, and security are all jeopardized without this upgrade. Due to the so getting these quotes, tech support, if we go with tech support for the computer, which is our current IT provider, we're happy with them, the city would realize a savings of $728. So my recommendation is to go with tech support for the computer and Automatic Systems for the software upgrades. The fiscal impact, the cost of this project is $21,766.85. The funding will come from the sewer fund, but this has not been budgeted for. And the attachments are in front of you. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Awesome, thank you, Joe. Jamie, you got anything?
Nope.
Okay. Scott?
Well, it's not budgeted, there's sufficient funds to cover it.
Correct.
All right, Carrie?
You've been under budget on pretty much every single thing ever, so thank you. My other question is, when is the last time we had to do an upgrade like this?
2018.
Okay. And yeah, once the software is not valid, there's nothing you can do about it, so.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and we need this, so.
Is there a subscription fee on that software, or is that if you buy it? I live in Florida.
There is subscription fees on different parts of it, things that allow us to view it on our cell phones and things like that.
All right, Joe, thank you. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Palava, second by Vasek. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, on to other business. Department and council reports. You guys, city staff, you let me know if you want to make this a little later or not. We can pass. You want to pass?
Yeah, man, we're here, might as well go through it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason. Jason, I'll go with you. I just thought I'd ask.
Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just wanted to note that we kicked off the Wellhead Protection Plan Part 2, and by kickoff, I just mean we had a first meeting with Bolton and Mink staff and city staff to go over some preliminary figures, the preliminary potential contaminant source inventory, and that we will be meeting again in early November to go over the draft report. So making good progress there. And then, thank you for your consideration of the wastewater treatment facility evaluation, and we'll get started on that right away.
All right, thank you, Jason. Joe.
Public Works, we have made repairs to the old City Hall basement wall. It should be completed on Monday. We reconfigured the soccer fields to accommodate the fall soccer league. We are continuing to sample for chlorides in the southeast part of town. Blacktopping operations will begin, and the booster station concrete work has been completed to wrap up that project. That's all I got for you guys.
All right, thank you, Joe. Corey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been working on the putting together the Founders Day packet. At the Park Board meeting, I've been working with Councilmember Miller. It's been determined that the first Founders Day Committee meeting will be on October 13th at 7:15 p.m. here at the Chambers. And then also been working on some, for the planning and zoning packet, which will be going out tomorrow, Councilmember Vosepka, and it's not 150 pages long.
It's not.
And there's no public hearing scheduled for that for that planning and zoning meeting.
But it's 149 pages.
Well, no, we still have to review this entire packet.
All right.
All right, thank you, Corey. Joel?
Well, staff met with the contractor on the public works building roof, anticipating that work to begin in the next week or so. As stated earlier, met with 2 businesses here recently on potential expansions. We had our liquor committee meeting last week. We also had a safety committee meeting, working on the billboard project. Continue to work on the 26 budget. Attended the Chamber's networking event today at RR Revival. We have our annual OSHA training for all staff on Monday, and then EDA meets next week.
Joel, what was the Public Works roof? Was that hail damage or?
Correct.
Okay, from a few years ago, or was it something
Yep.
recent?
Yep, staff did not accept the work, so they're redoing it.
Oh, got it, okay.
All right, Carrie?
Like Joel mentioned, the liquor board meeting was last week, and I just want to give a huge shout out to all the staff there, and Lynette, she does an awesome job, and it's just always very friendly. So thank you. We did not have our Parks Board meeting because we could not meet quorum, so there are no updates for that. We have our next Park Board meeting on Monday, the 13th of October at 6 p.m. We are changing the time a little earlier, beginning next month. And as Corey said, we have our first Founders Day Committee meeting next month on the 13th again, Monday at 7:15 p.m. following the Parks Board.
All right, Jamie?
Reviewing code and planning and zoning on Monday, off-street parking, loading and access in commercial and in industrial, reviewing all zoning districts in the business parks. And new business, we're reviewing off-street parking and storage for residential property.
All right, Scott?
EDA will be meeting bright and early Thursday morning at 7. Don't have the packet yet, but I believe we're going to be finalizing our budget for 26, going over the social media responsibilities for EDA versus the rest of the city and some of those other items. And then I want to add the program right now, there's a housing repair grant that is out there. So for certain income levels, there are improvements that can be made, and this grant can be applied for, and it can cover things, windows, lead paint remediation, roofing, siding, anything to improve the home. So there's still a lot of money left on the table for that, and we need to give that away, otherwise we got to give it back. So.
All right. I want to thank all of you for being here and doing your duty, speaking up, getting involved. I do appreciate it a lot. Honestly, this is the first meeting I've seen so many people at with this new city hall. So whether we disagree or agree, thank you for being here. So please show up more often.
Isn't it fun?
It's nice not to hear a cricket out there.
Yeah, we had a cricket and Joe took care of it.
You
So.
know, I don't talk very much, but when I do, I hope I say something that's good enough to hear. I think the openness of the council this evening was.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I mean, to be told, I bet 9/10 of us didn't know what's going on in this town. And now we're getting there, and I bet we should keep your ears open, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Name and address. All right.
On Ash Street.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
thank you, Scott. Motion by Palava, second by Miller. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.